If you had to describe 2025 inches terms of trade, would you say it's been one of the busiest years on record? It's felt like every month brought a new announcement or negotiation.
It's been a whirlwind, honestly. The administration really hit the gas, moving away from the old, ultra-open global trading model to what they call a fairer, more balanced approach. Between dozens of trade deals and a fresh wave of tariffs, there's barely been time to catch our breath.
Do you think that same pace will hold into 2026? Or are we due for a slowdown now that so many agreements have been signed or at least put on the table?
If anything, 2026 might be just as packed. A lot of those deals still need to be finalized, and there's always a chance some countries backtrack or demand tweaks. But with the current economic upswing, low inflation, rising wages, there's a real sense of momentum. It's tough to imagine things slowing down anytime soon.
That actually makes me wonder about the legal side, especially those tariffs. How solid are they if the Supreme Court decides to step in?
You're hitting on a big concern. If the Supreme Court overturns tariffs set under certain emergency powers, it could seriously shake the new trade framework we've built. That's not just a legal hiccup. It could unravel deals and unsettle partners who've already adapted to the new system.
So, if that happens, does the administration have a backup plan? Or is it really a scramble if the legal foundation disappears?
It would be a scramble, no doubt. But there's a real determination to keep those safeguards in place, whether through fresh legislation or creative workarounds. Having the president's emergency powers has made negotiations so much more effective, but if Congress or the courts take that away, they'll have to improvise to hold on to the gains from the past year.
This ties right into another hot topic, affordability. With all these tariffs, people are talking about price hikes, especially for food. How's that factoring into trade decisions now? Recently, food prices have been front and center for a lot of families, and President Trump has even talked about rolling back some tariffs on basics like bananas, coffee, and cocoa. Is that a real shift in strategy or just a one-off move?
It's more of a targeted adjustment. The president wants to address affordability, especially for staples we don't really produce here, and it's working. Grocery prices on things like dairy and produce have dropped. But the bigger strategy is still about supporting American jobs and keeping the tariff framework strong where it really matters.
So when you're crafting new trade deals, is there pressure to avoid tariffs that might sneakily raise prices on everyday goods? Or is the main focus still jobs and wages?
Affordability is definitely on the radar, but the driving force is reshoring manufacturing and protecting food security. Trade policy is seen more as a jobs engine, while price relief like lower gas or health costs is being handled through other policies. It's a balancing act, for sure.
Speaking of balancing acts, the TikTok deal keeps popping up in the headlines. There's a lot of talk about how it fits into the bigger puzzle with China.
TikTok's become almost symbolic of the broader US-China trade tensions. There are really two sides to the deal: private companies hammering out terms, and then this layer of government approvals on both ends. In recent talks, China seemed open to the deal if the private parties agreed, so everyone's watching for that final sign-off.
But there's more going on, right? People are connecting the dots. TikTok, chip exports, rare earths. Are these all part of a huge, looming agreement between the US and China? Or are they separate battles?
Great question. Some of these, like export controls on advanced chips, are totally standalone. They're about national security and not really subject to negotiation. On other fronts, like agricultural trade or rare earths, there's more give and take. Right now, the focus is stability and reducing the deficit, not forging one giant sweeping deal.
Still, it sounds like we might see a more managed, maybe even confidence-building arrangement, if not a true comprehensive agreement. That's a big shift from a few years ago. The tech wars aren't just with China either. The European Union's new regulations have put US tech companies on edge. What's the latest on that front?
Tensions are high. American tech firms are global leaders, but Europe's rolling out rules that conveniently seem to only ensnare US giants. Even though they claim these are fair and apply to everyone, the reality is it's mostly American companies feeling the squeeze. Negotiations have been tough, but there's hope for more dialogue going forward.
It's wild to think Europe is becoming a tougher negotiator than some traditional adversaries. Has anything about these shifting alliances surprised you over the past year?
Honestly, not really. Europe has always used non-tariff barriers regulations that keep out US goods, especially agriculture and industrial exports. That's why there's such a trade imbalance, and it's been a sticking point in talks. Even with strategic partners like India, deals have dragged on for months.
Before we wrap up, I have to ask about Mexico and those ongoing steel and aluminum tariff talks. Any hints about where things stand there?
Mexico's been very engaged. They'd love to see a relaxation of steel and aluminum tariffs, especially with the U.S. as their main market. It's not unique. Every steel exporter wants better access here. There's been progress, with Mexico working to address U.S. concerns, but no firm promises yet.
It sounds like negotiations are always in motion, with countries constantly pushing to tweak the rules in their favor. Do you see any big shifts ahead? Or is this just the new normal for global trade?
Honestly, constant renegotiation seems to be the reality now, with shifting alliances, evolving regulations, and economic priorities changing year to year. Adaptability is everything. The only guarantee is more deals and more surprises as we move into 2026.
Thanks for breaking all of this down. It's a lot to keep up with, but hearing it explained like this really helps put the pieces together.